Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's me, Lou D.O. Double G, and welcome to Anime Today. First up on the docket, we got Dan Dan Episode 3. We are continuing our fight against the Mongolian Deathworm and the Keto family, although the Keto family has been absent for the last episode, while Gigi was essentially kicking around an aura ball all over the place. Beautifully animated, of course, and this episode is no different, ladies and gentlemen. Evil Eye versus Okarun. So Okarun rolls up like the end of episode 2 and stops him from hitting Momo, and they fight. They fight, and this is absolutely beautifully animated. The sound design is pretty cool as well. I gotta say, I've read this and I kind of forgot what happened, and I just find it so refreshing, like the choreography, how beautifully it's animated, and the kind of the silly decisions that Okarun's making in this fight to like essentially win it, right? Because he wins this fight in this episode. And it's like, I don't know, I just really like it. And before this happens though, Momo has to try and get out of the sinkhole that they're in essentially. And so he says, you know what, get on this couch, I'm going to kick you so hard that you go flying. And he does exactly that. She goes up in the air, she pulls herself up with her powers and proceeds to try to find a way to get them out of there and receive help. The conclusion she comes to, however, is to turn on the gas stove and make the house burst into flames. So she does that. The firefighters arrive. The police arrive, and then they're like, yo, you don't live here. We're gonna now arrest you. Even though she's kind of like yelling. I feel like, I don't know, maybe not in today's day and age, but I feel like if there's a child screaming that they need help, maybe your first instinct wouldn't be to arrest this child. However, this is what they do. So she is in the process of being arrested, and she has an epiphany that if the sun shines through the house, the Mongolian deathworm can die, because she has a vague memory between her and Gigi as children that they dry out in the sun. So she does exactly that. The Mongolian worm busts out and proceeds to throw up the Keto family. Yeah, so now they're out and they're like yelling at her. We cut back to Gigi and Okarun fighting. Okarun's like stuck in this box, and then he basically just kind of jumps up and down 20 times for about 3 sets, and he eventually breaks through and then whoops Gigi's ass, not Gigi, the Evil Eye's ass. And that's kind of it. He's kind of knocked out there. And who else does Okarun here but Turbo Granny, the cat? So he sees her, she's like, yo, help me out, you bitch. I think that's literally what she calls him, or bastard, one of the two, probably bitch though. And he goes all the way down there and is so smart about how the way he approaches her, and then proceeds to do something really stupid and fall right into the same trap that she did. So now they're both stuck, with Gigi, aka the Evil Eye, just kind of laying there unconscious while Momo is dealing with this situation. The aforementioned adults have now decided to run away instead of helping this poor child as she battles a Mongolian deathworm and a family of murderers, essentially serial killers, cultists. I feel like they're more culty than anything. They do murder though, but that kind of comes with the territory, I feel like. The crazy thing is that, like, I love shonens where you can power scale. Like, it's one of my favorite things, which is why in a little bit we're gonna talk about Kaiju. You can use math to deduce how strong somebody is. My Hero's like okay for that, and One Piece is, you just can't do that at all. Naruto's really great for that. This show, I'm just like, how powerful is Momo? Like, truly, because she just straight up lifts a fire truck and throws it at everything, destroys the house, right, and hits all the things she needs to hit. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, what, like, I feel like there are times where she struggles to, like, do other, like, really menial tasks with her powers, and then all of a sudden she's just throwing a fucking 3-ton truck across the house, and it's just, we're just expected to believe it. Well, it works, and long story short, the Mongolian deathworm does in fact dry out, and it's dead, and the Keto family's, like, pissed off, and it's like, we're gonna kill you now. And then the volcano that they've been trying so hard to protect has now erupted, and that's kind of where we end it. All in all, action-packed episode, really, really good. I'm really excited for us to kind of get out of here though, because like then we kind of get back into the school stuff, and we kind of get back into like the evil eye just in general. And I think that that part of the season is going to be a lot cooler than this, but still very good. And I'm excited to see where it moves going forward. So I have decided to add a new anime into the repertoire of the podcast, and that anime is Gachiakura. So I'm trying my damnness to not read this manga, because just about every single thing that I'm watching weekly for this, I have read the manga for. I'm either completely caught up or like hundreds of chapters ahead where it is currently in the anime. So I am doing my best to not read this. And what's helping is the fact that it's still ongoing, and I am reading like 15 ongoing manga right now. That's an exaggeration. It's more like 10 or 7 at the very least. I don't keep count. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. Now, the first time I did sit down and watch this, I did fall asleep. That is no way, shape, or form the anime's problem. This is a me problem, and the fact that I have a hard time after work staying awake when I sit down on the couch. So, and truly, it's like if I don't have my shoes on, I'm gonna fall asleep. So that's just, I don't know, it's a brain thing. I'm not sure. Anyway, I watched 6 minutes of this and fell asleep. Anyway, 2 days later, I caught up and watched both of the episodes. First of all, the animation style is a little weird. Like, maybe it's the art. Maybe I need to go look at the manga art, but it feels very, like, squished. I don't know if that makes any kind of sense. They all look a little dollish, like a little ceramic doll, I guess. Porcelain doll? That's the right word. As I'm kind of talking about this out loud, I'm realizing this is more than likely the reasoning. And as he gets into like the trash island, it's people don't look like little dolls. Anyway, long story short, in the first episode, we see our main character Rudo. Rudo is in this, God, I don't know how to explain it other than like consumerism, right? Like ultra consumerism, ultra materialistic people, just like, if you watch One Piece, this is like Marijois like level shit, you know? So like these people wear their white robes and they're very posh, and they even like the security guards wear white gloves, and they're all about how they seem on the outside. But with this, Rudo's kind of our connection to seeing what they look like on the inside, and like just how much trash they throw away. And so this is obviously like a nod at our real situation in real life, right? And so Rudo is essentially banished to the like trash part of the world, right? And because of ancestral criminalization, I suppose, his father at some point killed somebody. I'm sure we'll get backstory on that at some point. And as a result, the rest of his lineage is now like has to live in the trash island because his father killed somebody, right? And so Rudo was found by this guy at a very young age, and now Rudo goes up to the pretty place and then steals all their trash to then sell the trash to the trash people. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And he falls in love with this girl. I say falls in love. He really likes this girl, not falls in love. I feel like he's like 12. That dude doesn't know love, right? And he specifically steals this little bunny that was thrown away, and we kind of see the first few minutes of the episode, we kind of follow the bunny, that the little girl gets the bunny, she accidentally tears it, and rather than fixing it, her mom is like, throw it away, we'll get another one. And so he finds the bunny, he fixes it up, and is like, hey girl, I forget her name, truthfully, I like you, basically. And he's like trying to tell her, but she's like just kind of talking to him, right? And basically the like neighborhood kids go up to him and they're like, fuck you, you stink, you freaking stupid head. Also, you're gonna murder somebody one day because your father also murdered somebody. So because your father murdered somebody, you're gonna murder somebody, you stupid murder head. And they leave, and she's like, leave him alone. And you know, she's like, okay, my mom's calling me, bye. And the mom is like, under her breath, I told you not to talk to this kid, he's a freaking weirdo. Because he like also wears gloves because his hands are badly injured, and so he wants to hide them. It's like super anime tropey. It's really the best way I can put it. But I was like, okay, the first episode was kind of whatever, and we are like maybe 4 minutes out until the end of the episode. Rudo goes to like see his I kind of thought brother, but I guess more like a father figure as I like got further into the episodes, and he's like, hey, I got this thing for this girl, whatever, and he's like, well, he's like, you're a pussy if you don't go tell her. I think that's like pretty much what he says. And he's like, well, blah, blah, blah. You know, he gets all mad, he's like flustered, like, fine, I'll tell her. And so he goes and to tell her, and he gives a thing, the little bunny to her, and before she can say anything, the dude runs off, right? He goes back to the house. He's like, I'm gonna tell, I forget his name already, his father figure who found him, and he's just like dead. There's a dude with a mask hovering over him with a knife through his chest, and like he's like, Rudo, run. And Rudo's like, oh my god, what do I do? I need to call for help. Well, as he was running home, he came across similar security guards or police officers. I don't even know what the fuck they're called. And they just somehow run up on the house like randomly and see Rudo over the body, and that's just kind of it. They're like, yeah, we knew you'd murder somebody because your father murdered somebody too. So obviously it runs in the family. Therefore, you go bye-bye. And so they're essentially like, any little crime that you do in this world, you just get thrown to the trash planet, is what I'm going to call it. I'm sure there's a name for it that I've either missed or just haven't been told to us yet, because we're currently in episode 2. And yeah, so Rudo is strung up by his hands, and the whole sum of the like pretty people come to the trash island area and are like essentially calling for his demise, and they drop him. And as he's like looking out into the crowd, he sees the girl, and the girl's like, wow, Rudo, I believed in you. I throw the bunny away now. And then that just kind of sets him over the edge, and he falls into the trash planet, basically. And it's literally filled with nothing but trash. Like, it's even worse than the trash island. Trying to keep up with all this trash talk, you know what I'm saying? And that's essentially the end of episode 1. Episode 2, though, is... episode 2 is essentially where I got really hooked. And I was so enthralled by this world. Now, we get flashbacks to Rudo having conversations with his, like, dad, right? I was gonna say dad. Surrogate father, about how if you cherish something enough, it gains a soul, right? And so he really takes this to heart. There are these like trash monsters that are attacking him essentially, and he's fighting them, and he's doing a pretty damn good job. And essentially anything he touches has some sort of power, right? It just seems amped up. It seems stronger. Everything seems stronger, right? And he essentially beats them, right, with a little bit of help with an umbrella guy. There's always an umbrella guy, by the way. So Dandadan, there's an umbrella guy. We haven't seen him yet. He's in the manga. There's an umbrella guy. In Gachiaka, there's a umbrella guy. So we meet the umbrella guy, thank God, because the umbrella guy is always insanely powerful. Helps Rudo out. He essentially faints, but he's like, all right, I'm gonna tie this kid up because there's obviously something special about him, right? And he takes him to a group of people, drops them off in chains, and they're like, oh, somebody from above. Ooh. We're gonna do something to this kid. They chain him up further, and they like put him inside a truck, and he wakes up, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna sell this one, even for its skin. We're gonna make a pretty penny off of it. And they just kind of go on and on about how they're gonna sell him and how they hate him. They want to kill him, but they'll make more money if he's alive, and just like kind of just essentially human trafficking is honestly what it is. And Rudo, once again, we get flashbacks to the conversation with his surrogate father, like, care about something enough, it's gonna have a soul. So I guess because of Rudo's upbringing, him being so poor and then like caring for every little thing, I think this is how we kind of get revealed to the world, to the power system of the world. Where usually, before I go into this, he whoops everybody's ass. He comes down, and the umbrella guy returns. He's like, wow, I just watched all that. You are very powerful. And it turns out the umbrella guy cared about his umbrellas so much that he was able to basically create a soul within them, and then can control them as a result of that. Rudo was able to control literally everything around him, and so I think in a huge way that like speaks to like his upbringing. And so all of a sudden, like episode 1, which I was just kind of like, ugh, anime tropey, is like really cool, and is like, I don't know, it's just it's a really interesting power. I feel like most animes don't really do that. It's really pretty much a blatant, like, you get this, you get that, and like that's it. But as of now, it seems it's just very creative, and something that a child took to heart, and all of a sudden is just now the reason he's powerful. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But there was no episode 3 this week because there was a election in Japan, and I guess for some reason they decided to cancel the episode. Anyway, coming back for next week, we'll have Gachiakura as well as the other ones, but I really like it so far. The second episode really, really sold it for me, so I'm going to keep on going. If at some point I end up hating it, I'm going to drop it because, like, kind of wasting my time at that point. Just like how I have dropped anime I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but until then, we have thankfully got the return of Kaiju number 8, which I am extremely excited about because the manga also just ended literally the week before I am recording this. The manga had just ended, so I have a lot to say about that. I may just make a video on that rather than talking about it here. This is not manga today, this is anime today. But episode 1 of season 2, we are back hot and heavy. Kafka is still locked up. Over the course of the episode, he becomes unlocked up. And we're following some of our friends from Division 3 and kind of what they're up to and what they're doing. But we mainly focus on Kafka, Shinomiya, and the Division 1 captain and kind of understanding these dynamics. So he essentially gets sent to Division 1. We see Shinomiya is also getting sent to Division 1 after what happened at the end of season 1. She is then introduced to the captain Division 1. And lo and behold, dude is super powerful, but he kind of sucks. We see him like in his room, covered in trash and drinks and pizza boxes and playing video games, and has obviously been up all night. And she's like, oh, this is very unconventional for a captain, but hey, I'll just like roll with it and see what happens. Very respectful of him despite his quirks, but she's obviously very like annoyed about the whole thing. And the funniest part of this whole episode is for once not Kafka. It's the vice captain, who is essentially his babysitter, but respects the shit out of him. And like the whole time as an audience member, you're thinking like, okay, there's obviously a reason he respects him and is willing to do this, even though he like fucking sucks, right? And of course we get the whole there's a Kaiju on the water heading towards Tokyo, you know, and basically looks like Godzilla. This is the Walmart version of Godzilla. They obviously were like, the mangaka was obviously like, I love Godzilla, obviously I can't put Godzilla into this, so instead I'm going to draw not Godzilla, totally not Godzilla. So anyways, our beloved Division 1 captain is in the helicopter. Everybody's suited up. Shinomiya gets like shotgun for some reason. The rest of the crew, the rest of Division 1 is like on the ground about to like ready to fight, hold back, not Godzilla essentially. And he ends up being like, Shinomiya, why don't you come with me? I'll give you a front row seat to this awesomeness. And she's like, okay, which kind of makes sense. She is the like director's daughter, so I guess she gets special privileges like that, but also I don't know. It was definitely like in my head as I'm watching this, I'm like, why is she here? She's like literally bottom of the barrel. Yeah. She's in ranking. She's the bottom of the barrel. So they're up in the helicopter and he's like, well, you know what? Watch this awesome shit. And yeah, he fucking takes it out in one hit, basically. Like, and then that's just kind of it. And you're like, wow, okay. How did I figure that was gonna happen? But other than that, we see Kafka coming in and them being like, let's see what you're worth, Kaiju number 8. And then the episode ends, and that's just like basically it. I'm excited to have us like come back to it and see Mina and the gang, seeing Vice Captain Hoshina. Like, I'm really excited for his fight that's coming this season. And I know that we briefly talked about it last podcast, but 12 episode season, 13, excuse me. So a little bit more than last season. So we'll see how much we can actually cover. But given that the manga's pretty short, I kind of understand why they're doing this 13 episode season. Like, it'll probably end in 4 seasons, 5 seasons max, if we keep doing like 12 episodes every 6 months essentially. And maybe a little bit longer for like the more complicated fights to come. But that was essentially Kaiju number 8. Moving on to anime backlog. I am tired of watching Delicious in Dungeon. Like, yeah, I mean, I was told I'm on the cusp of greatness, but I admittedly haven't watched it, so I'm not continuing it right now. Instead, I have started to watch Soul Eater. I've read a lot of Soul Eater, and I was like, you know what? I want to watch it, because I know that, like, later, towards the end, it totally veers off from the manga, and given that I'm having a Fire Force, like, I just want to watch Fire Force, and we're doing this stupid fucking thing that Attack on Titan has infected every anime with, where they're like, you know what, we're gonna basically make a movie every year instead of releasing a full fucking season, and so now I have to wait for shit. And Fire Force Season 3 Part 2 is releasing in January. Man, fuck you. Like, why? I know you guys have this. I know you guys have this done and completed because it's been like 4 years since Fire Force Season 2. Don't give me the shit, okay? Like, I want it. Regardless, decided to go with Soul Eater. So, I like it. I like it. I think it's so silly. I read a lot of it, and I just bought volume 11 of like the hardcover edition, and like I always forget how much fan service is in this show, and then like I watch it and I'm like, dear goodness gracious, there's so much going on here. There are boobies flying everywhere. The fucking Death Scythe is who is Maka's dad, is such a horny prick. Too horny to care about his daughter, essentially. That's like half of his fucking characterization there. He's at the strip club like crying to the strippers about how much his daughter hates him, and you're just like, well, brother, my brother in Christ, if you weren't at the strip club, maybe Maka would be totally chill with you. But I got up to episode 10, 8, 10, where Maka and fucking Ninja Star, that's his name. I can't even remember right now. It started are fighting Dr. Stein, and it's kind of fun. Man, I love this whole Renaissance shit. Like the whole like relationship between your scythe and your the scythe wielder. It's a really cool premise, and like just knowing that Fire Force turns into that is like super cool too. And I guess that's a spoiler, Louis. The animation for it being like early 2000s is super cool. Also, I'm a slut for that opening. Can I just say, like it's just so fun. It's very like Saturday morning cartoon anime opening, but God, does it slap, dude. It objectively might not even be good. There's something about it that really scratches an itch for me. And so yeah, so like Black Star. What did I call him? Ninja Star? Black Star. What? Why am I brain farting in his name right now? Whose scythe is also, by the way, 13 with Tiggle Bitties. Like, what are we doing here? And also, why am I saying this again when this is obviously marketed towards teenage boys? Why am I surprised? But it's just more. It's just more than like most things, you know? I feel like aside from Fairy Tail, which Fairy Tail has its moments, it's probably the most like fan servicey anime I've ever seen. Maybe my anime deep dives aren't deep enough, but I think I'm okay with this being the most boobalicious show I've ever seen in my entire life. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm watching right now. Now, some anime news. Infinity Castle Part 1 of Demon Slayer has been doing great in Japan. The sad thing is that it's not coming until September 10th to the US. Now, I gotta just say, I don't mind the fact that things are subbed. I wish we would just get them right off the bat, but of course we have to wait. So we are waiting, in fact, for that. And Jujutsu Kaisen, so MAPPA just like released their financials for the rest of the year, and it looks like Jujutsu Season 3 is pushed back to 2027, which is like, you know, but the Culling game does have insane fights, like far more than the Shibuya incident, especially Yuta's fight. Three-way battle with like three like really strong characters, so that fight's gonna take a long time to animate. So I'm not really surprised, but I'm also a little sad that I have to wait till 2027, which means that to see Gojo and Sukuna fight won't be until like 2030. I will be 31 by the time I see this fight animated, and I'm like upset about it low key, but also like I do want them to do it justice, so I'm gonna be okay with it. I have to be okay with it, right? Moving on to any more news, One Piece will be back. I don't know if I mentioned it, but One Piece is in fact on break, which is why we're not talking about it. I'm very excited to see the next portion of Egghead Island. I've enjoyed it so far. The animation since Wano has just been great. Always a fan of One Piece, obviously. So we'll be back next week to talk about Dandadan, Kaiju, One Piece, and Gacha Akira, and then Soul Eater, because I'm watching that for funsies. And maybe I'll come back to Delicious in Dungeon. I was told that I am very close to seeing some cool shit. So if I watch this fucking anime and it's terrible and not good, I'm gonna have some words with the people who have told me this is good. There are two people in particular, and if you are friends of mine and you're listening to this, you know who you are. I'm gonna have a bitch fit, okay? Anyways, thanks for listening to Anime Today.